Welcome back to another video. It's been a bit. This one is a bit different from my usual uploads. Today we're looking into how damage is calculated in Dark Souls 3, one of my favorite games. For those of you who don't know, Dark Souls 3 is a 2016 game published by a company called From Software. They're known for creating games with high difficulty, dense lore, and amazing gameplay. Dark Souls 3 is the third in a trilogy of Dark Souls games, and this is the one we will be focusing on today. To start, let's establish the basis for damage. When an attack successfully connects with an enemy, you do damage. This damage is then subtracted from the recipient's health bar. If you've ever played the game before, you understand that not every enemy will take the same amount of damage from every attack. For example, Lorien takes 284 damage from my sword, and Soul of Cinder takes 300 damage from the same sword. So what's happening? My character's damage and stats are exactly the same, so that's not the problem. What is changing? There is another system at play here, defense and absorption. When an attack lands, a few calculations are made. First, the defense formula is applied, and then the absorption formula is applied. Let's look at defense first. Defense is a stat determined by the armor a player wears. There is a defense stat for each damage type: physical, magic, fire, lightning, and dark, where physical is split up into 4 categories: standard, strike, slash, and thrust. Defense is a flat number that determines how much damage is done based on which category it falls into. Shown on screen is the various conditions and formulas that are used to calculate damage. This is essentially a big piecewise function. After this calculation, a percentage absorption is then applied to the damage. Each damage type is also handled differently for this one. So, if an enemy has a total lightning absorption of 20%, then the damage they receive from a purely lightning attack will be multiplied by 0.8 after the defense calculation is done. The total absorption is calculated based on multiplying the absorption reductions of all pieces of armor the player is wearing. For example, let's say I had a set of armor that had a standard absorption of 5% for the head, 10% for the chest, 5% for the hands, and 10% for the legs. This means that the actual numbers being multiplied to determine the damage would be 0.95, 0.9, 0.95, and 0.9 respectively. This would come out to a total damage multiplier of 0.731025, which is displayed in-game as an absorption of 26.9%. So, let's look back at that example I showed earlier. Lorien took 284 damage from my attack that has an attack stat of 472. Lorien's defense stat is approximately 144.3 and has an absorption of about 20% to standard damage. If we look at the defense formula, we can see that we fit into the category where defense is greater than 0.125 times the attack value. If we run this calculation, plugging in the numbers we have, we should get around 284 damage done. This lines up perfectly with our testing and estimations. There are many more factors that go into how Dark Souls 3 determines the damage an attack will do, but I just wanted to focus on defense and absorption today. Let me know in the comments if you want to see a part 2 where we talk about motion values, counter damage, criticals, instability, and weak points. Alright, hit that like and subscribe button, leave a comment below of what topic you'd like to see next. This is Dylan signing off. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.